Okay, I wanted to make a serious video today because of the month we're on. Yeah, it's Pride Month, but it's also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I just wanted to talk about that real quick. I myself have been dealing with depression and anxiety and suicidal thoughts for a good while now. I'm better now, but I have been dealing with it for a while now. And I know how it feels to not speak up when I really need to. When you're a man, sometimes it just feels right to just not say anything about how you feel. Or, you know, what you're going through. Because you're taught to keep your feelings to yourself. And you're taught to just not talk about anything or cry in front of people because that is seen as weak. I was taught this way as I was taught this way same as almost every other man. And I remember the first time I tried to commit suicide was when I was around 13 or 14 years old. It was because 2 years prior, I was dealing with the loss of a friend of mine, but I honestly saw him as an older brother because obviously he was older than me, and two, I just looked up to him. I saw him as my role model and I wanted to be like him. But then, around 2019, he was murdered, and I was around 11 at the time. Now I'm 17, but when I heard about his death, I didn't know how to process it. I didn't know how to react. I just couldn't believe that he was really gone. So I spam called his phone, tried to get in contact with him, but nothing worked. So I, you know, grieved for a while. And then when I was 13, a lot of other stuff happened, personal stuff happened. And that's when I tried suicide. And the way I tried was through my medication, but I backed out of it last minute because I was too scared to do it. And if I would have done it, I would have been one of the 100 to 110 men that kill themselves every day. And that is around 500,000 men per year. And honestly, when you think about it, that's a lot, obviously. And that's on it, like, just really sad to think about because these are men that refused to talk about how they feel, what they're going through, and just anything in general because they don't want to be seen as weak. They don't want to be seen as a crybaby as just anything weak. Because that's how we were grown, that's how we were raised. Is that men shouldn't talk about stuff like this because, as I said, they'd be seen as weak. When in all reality, you are not weak if you talk about your feelings or how you feel. Because I thought the same way. Then I realized that it was okay to talk about how I feel. It was okay to, speak about how what I was going through. And it's just a really sensitive topic for me because I lost around 3 or 4 friends to suicide that were all men, and they refused to talk about it. And the most recent one was just a few months ago that I lost him to suicide because he was assaulted by someone he dated like a year prior. And when he tried to speak about it, no one really cared. No one believed him. So he just decided to take his own life because he thought no one cared. And I went through I went through a similar experience. I remember I was in 8th grade. I dated I haven't dated her yet, but there was this girl named Olivia that just roped me, and it was something about October and asses, because that's where she groped me at. And I asked her why she did it, and she said it was because it was that time of month. And I was like, why would you do that? And that's kind of weird. And she said, no, it's okay. It's because we're friends. We're friends, so it's okay. I thought it was weird, but I didn't say anything about it because I didn't want to be seen as weird. So a little later, we started dating, and that was the biggest regret of my life, because I went through hell dating her. I was constantly yelled at, screamed at, just being verbally and physically abused, and got to a point where I was getting assaulted, and I was just afraid to tell anybody. And then a little bit after the assaults, then it came. I had been raped by that same girl, but I refused to talk about it because I have tried to talk about the abuse to my friends, to people that I know and I trust, but they didn't believe me. They said that she wouldn't do that. She just wouldn't do that in general. She's not that type of person. And after I've been assaulted and raped, I was raped a few times in that relationship, but after that, I tried to speak up about it after we broke up. And that's when I was in the mental hospital. A few years later, which is as of, I think not this February, but last February. Last year, I went to the mental hospital, and one of the workers that was there wanted to talk to me, and while I was there, just just to talk to me in general to see how I am. I told them about what happened between me and Olivia, and they said, okay, we'll get a staff member on this. And then a day or two later, someone pulled me out and said, they had a serious conversation with me and said, you can't be making that kind of stuff up. And I was confused, and I was like, no, I'm not making it up. That really happened. I really got raped. I really got assaulted. I really got abused. And they just refused to believe me. And that led to around my third attempt of suicide. Because I just thought I didn't matter. I just thought like no one would care. And it really, really hurt that I was being called a liar when I was telling people that what really happened. And the workers at the mental hospital I went to are the only people that I told about me getting raped and assaulted and abused. And I never told my friends, I never told my family, because I just thought they wouldn't care or they would think I'm weak. And I see TikTok comments from time to time talking about, when there's videos talking about assault, men getting assaulted, and people are in the comments like, yeah, you're lucky. And that's what really irks me, is when people say that. Because from time to time, whenever I think about it, I still feel her hands on me, and I just hate it. I really do. I hate thinking about it. I hate bringing it up. But the reason why I brought it up in this video is because I wanted to talk about what a lot of men go through and never talk about. And this is a very serious topic to me, specifically, not specifically, but in general. And I want this to be talked about more. And I don't want men in general to be staying in silence, especially after something similar that happened to me happened to them. I don't want that. I want men to speak up about what happens, what they go through, and just anything that bothers them, messes with them. And yeah, I'm not a very good talker when it comes to these type of things, but another thing that men will do is try to cover things up by making like a jokes about it. I was that type of person. Still am that type of person. I would make jokes about my past relationships just to, I don't know why though. I would just be honest, I don't know why I do that. But sorry that I'm all over the place. I just don't know how to talk about this type of stuff. But conclusion, I just want men to talk about what they've gone through more. Doesn't matter if you're transgender, gay or anything like that. You matter. And just because someone else says that you don't doesn't mean anybody else does. Like anybody else cares. Because I care, I really do care about how people feel and what people have gone through. And yeah, I just want men to talk about this more, just people to talk about this more in general. Because, as I said, 500,000 men, around 500,000 men a year commit suicide. And I would have been those 500,000 men when I was 13, 15, 17, around there. Because I've tried to commit suicide multiple times because I just thought that nobody cared and nobody would listen. But ever since then, I've been seeing a therapist about stuff like this, about relationships and traumatic experiences that I've had. But I just want to say that you matter. Just because someone else says they don't care doesn't mean everyone else doesn't care. And I just want people to, talk about mental health in general more, especially men's mental health, because, obviously they don't talk about it, they don't bring it up, and just stuff like that. But I just wanted to make this video just to talk about this because I thought it was a very serious topic that needed to be brought up. And yeah, happy Pride Month and happy Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.